Hello, my name is Henry Odland, and I'm going to discuss my change proposal from the previous organization that I worked for, which was a sustainable cafe. A little bit about this organization. It was a sustainable cafe that offered sandwiches, soups, and salads. It had a couple of different aspects included in the business, including catering, at-home meal kits, and a burger and beer restaurant. They focused heavily on sustainability and reducing their carbon footprint. They were all locally sourced, organic, and low impact store locations, so they never built any locations. They'd only just reuse locations. And they're less than 500 employees. Two major organizational issues that I saw present included a negative organizational culture and poor communication. Regarding the negative organizational culture, I noticed low employee morale, Theory X manager beliefs, and a major disconnection between managers and employees, which was detrimental to the company. Regarding poor communication, there was a downward flow of information with a gap between managers and supervisors and employees, which led to a lack of horizontal communication. And I also noticed many different barriers to communication, which I'll go over in the next couple of slides. Regarding negative organizational culture, low employee morale was something that I noticed. During my year and a half there, I saw 5 different store managers come in. Very high turnover rate, which just lost money on time and training. And it also affected the quality of the work with new employees and having to focus on training rather than getting the work done. I also noticed a declining employee motivation. There's no incentives or rewards, such as bonuses for achieving sales goals. And using the content theory of motivation, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so regarding self-actualization, there was no fulfillment from the job and no creativity. Self-esteem needs, there was no recognition, which was one of the values, is that it recognized its employees. And they had no participation in decision making. Affiliation needs, there was no connection between management and employees, so there couldn't really be a positive interaction. Safety needs were met. There was job security. They offered retirement and health and medical plans. And then regarding physiological needs, pay was not sufficient in this economy for someone to be able to pay all their bills. And another big issue was the working condition because there was an oven in the cafe and there was no AC. So in the summertime, it would get 90 plus degrees in there, and they would never close the store due to heat or exhaustion of employees. And all this, the low employee morale actually led to a group of the employees trying to unionize, which was detrimental to the chemistry of the team and just kind of goes right into the next disconnection between managers and employees. I saw multiple different managers view employees using the Theory X viewing, which is negative pessimistic. And it was interesting because managers really relied on the employees, yet they would get all the credit. And these assumptions from the managers led to some of the staff's unmotivated behavior. There was a centralized decision making, so decisions were coming from the top, which kept employees out of discussion. However, the employees were the ones dealing with the customers on a day-to-day basis, which has shown a positive relationship with decentralized decision making, and just kind of give them the chance to bring their ideas to the table. And then this organization followed a tall, structured hierarchy of authority. Although in this sense, with such a small company, it would have benefited more with a flat, structured hierarchy of authority. As Nancy Borkowski quoted in the textbook, that smaller companies showed greater job satisfaction when they're using a flat structured hierarchy of authority. Then the second major organizational issue was poor communication. One quote that really stood out to me was by Joel Hicks, and it was, "Communication is perhaps one of the greatest challenges facing managers and leaders today." This one is very relatable. I've seen it. It's something that just happens a lot today, even with so many mediums and different ways to communicate, especially with the advancements in technology. As I mentioned, there was a downward flow of information. However, there was a gap between management and even supervisors, which prevented horizontal communication regarding employee to employee or supervisor to supervisor. However, every week they would send out a weekly newsletter to all the employees with new policies and rules and information about the company, which brings very low information richness, and it takes away that personable aspect of like a face-to-face conversation. And another aspect of the poor communication is managers rarely met with employees, like even one-on-ones or team meetings, which definitely had a negative impact. And there are also many barriers to communication that I noticed. I noticed the managerial philosophy, which prevented the free flow of communication from employees. There's multiple levels of hierarchy, which allowed for missed messages and message distortion, especially when there's such an evident gap between managers and supervisors. And another barrier that I noticed was competition for time. Managers were never willing to listen to the employees or hear their ideas out and bring them up the ladder, which definitely helped add to the misconnection between employees and managers. So for my change proposal, my recommendations include the addition of weekly team meetings to help build that connection between managers and employees that's so important. It will also help allow for decentralized decision making. As I mentioned earlier, the employees are the ones dealing with the customers day to day. This would help allow them bring some of their ideas to the management and help build that relationship and help the manager do their job more effectively and efficiently, and just show the employees that they're there to help support them and lead and provide them with the knowledge and training. I also thought monthly one-on-one meetings would be beneficial to help build on those relationships between managers and employees, and managers can get the ideas from the employees and kind of their goals and help build that team chemistry and team cohesiveness. And then another way would be to empower employees through positive feedback, and that's just building on that connection employees can have with their manager. Almost comfort. And then I recommend moving away from the managerial philosophy to allow for that free flow of communication. And then another big one would be offer rewards and incentives to employees for achieving sales goals, just to help build the team chemistry and help supply motivation for the employees and help lead to greater job satisfaction. Kind of give them something to look forward to and increase team cohesiveness so they can all work together to achieve something and help benefit the company. Implementation. I recommend multiple different organization development interventions, team building intervention, total quality management intervention, and work redesign intervention. Team building intervention would be beneficial through team meetings to help increase effectiveness and cohesiveness of the team and help strengthen the relationship between managers and employees. Total quality management intervention would help increase employee motivation by enabling groups to work together and help focus on the organizational culture, which seemed pretty damaged in my opinion. And it would also help team dynamic and encourage employee involvement to help close the gap between managers and employees. Then the last implementation I would recommend would be through the work redesign intervention. Nancy Borkowski stated, "The work of Hackman and Oldman suggests that there's a significant relationship between core dimensions such as skill variety, task identity, task significance, autonomy, and feedback, and critical psychological states, experienced meaningfulness of work, experience responsibility for outcomes of work, and knowledge of actual results of work activities. The relationship between these produce personal and work outcomes, such as internal motivation, high quality work performance, high satisfaction, and low turnover." That was on page 397 of our textbook. The model that I would choose the model that I chose was the Lewin's change model. And this change model is based that change can happen in one or two different ways. It's either by increasing the force of change in the desired direction or by reducing the strength of the opposite force. It's a 3-step process. And in this situation, it would be increase communication and reduce negative organizational culture. The first step is unfreeze. And in this step, I would recommend hearing from the employees and listening to their ideas and thoughts to help show that there's a change in leadership style to help establish that relationship and just show them that they have a true leader. Regarding change, this step would be effectively communicating with employees, such as through the weekly team meetings or rolling out a rewards program to help show recognition, which is one of the values of the company. This will help build and develop that relationship that needs to happen in order to allow for the organizational culture to strengthen. During the freeze stage, changes are implemented and monitored. One way of monitoring this, in my opinion, would be through an employee feedback system. That could be anonymous or not. A good time to do that would be through the weekly team meetings. But through these changes, I think it would greatly increase communication and strengthen the organizational culture and help bring this company to what it should be. Thank you.